Okay, I want you to picture a scenario for me.
Hmm.
It's a Friday afternoon, maybe around 4 p.m. You've just finished what feels like an absolute marathon of a week. You've wrestled your calendar into
You've
submission.
got all the productivity hacks going, the Pomodoro timers, the color
The
coding.
whole deal. You've triaged your tasks, you've hit inbox zero, and for the first time in what feels like months, you are not drowning. You actually feel ready.
It's that really seductive feeling of control, isn't it?
Yeah.
The calm after the storm.
Yeah.
You feel like you're the captain of the ship again.
Exactly. It feels like the holy grail of entrepreneurship. You think, finally, I have my act together. But then here's the twist. And honestly, based on the source material we're digging into today, it's kind of a horror story twist.
Uh-oh.
You sit down, you open your business dashboard, and you look at the actual numbers, the bank account, the qualified leads. And despite the clean calendar, despite all the sweat, nothing has moved. It's a flat line.
And that is the moment the floor just drops out. You realize you have been incredibly efficient, but you haven't been effective. And those are two very, very different things.
Right. And that specific frustration, that sinking feeling of, I did everything right, I followed the rules, so why isn't the business growing? That is exactly what we are unpacking today. We are doing a deep dive into a concept called the execution gap.
It's such a vital topic and, a pretty painful one for a lot of people. We're pulling from a really sharp article and a diagnostic tool by Del Zadarline from Past Pawn Strategies.
And I think we should warn everyone up front. The core argument here is, well, it's going to challenge you. If you pride yourself on being busy, this might sting a little.
It might, because the source defines the execution gap in a way that just hits you right between the eyes.
Yeah.
It's defined simply as the space between effort and impact.
Effort versus impact.
That's the key right there. We're all trained to value effort, but the gap exists where that effort just fails to translate into actual measurable impact.
So we're talking about a situation where tasks are getting done, work is happening, you're showing up.
You're not lazy.
Not at all. But there's no corresponding increase in demand, no uptick in sales calls, no traction.
And what's our default reaction when that happens? We blame ourselves. We think, I'm just not working hard enough, or I need to get up earlier.
If I just had 26 hours in the day, I'd crack this.
Exactly. We look for more hours, more tasks, but the source material is adamant about this. The execution gap is not a motivation problem. It is a strategy problem disguised as execution.
Okay, a strategy problem disguised as execution. I want to pause on that because that implies we're actively fooling ourselves.
No, we're hiding in the work. It feels safer to be busy than it does to be strategic. Being busy lets you say, I tried my best.
Whereas being strategic requires you to risk being wrong.
Precisely.
So let's dig into how we get into this mess. The source talks about something called the trap of triage. Now, in my mind, triage is a good thing. It's what you do to save your sanity.
And to be clear, the source agrees. Triage is critical. You have to decide what to stop doing, what to delay. If you don't triage, you just drown in notifications. So step one of getting control is absolutely triage.
Okay, so triage stops the bleeding. That sounds positive. Where's the trap?
The trap is thinking that stopping the bleeding is the same thing as building muscle. Triage only cleans up the mess. It answers the question, what gets worked on?
But it doesn't answer the bigger questions.
It completely fails to answer them, like what results should this work produce? How will I even know if it worked? Did this actually move the business forward? Triage just clears the road. It doesn't care about the destination.
I see. So you can triage your way to a perfect schedule, but if you fill those time blocks with the wrong things...
You end up with what the source calls low-impact execution. You get a clean calendar, a busy week, and the exact same results as last month. You've essentially just organized your own stagnation.
That is a terrifying thought. It's like running on a treadmill that you've meticulously cleaned. You're sweating, the machine is humming, but you aren't going anywhere.
Perfect analogy. And this leads us to what the source calls the hard truth. Capital H, capital T.
Lay it on us.
The hard truth is this. Your business does not reward effort.
Ooh.
It rewards outcomes.
I feel like we know that intellectually, but emotionally. We want a gold star for effort. But I worked so hard on that.
Of course. We want to get paid for the struggle, but the market doesn't care about your struggle. The source even lists things you explicitly do not get paid for.
Like what?
You don't get paid for posting content. You don't get paid for sending emails or attending meetings. And this is the big one. You definitely don't get paid for just being consistent.
Wait, hang on. Being consistent is preached by literally every business guru out there. Just show up every day. Are we saying that's wrong?
No, not that it's wrong, but that it's insufficient. It's the price of admission, not the winning ticket. I mean, think of it this way.
Yeah.
If you consistently drive in the wrong direction, you're just consistently getting more lost.
So if nothing changed after the work was done,
Then execution didn't happen. Only activity happened.
that distinction, activity versus execution, is so crucial. I think for most of us, those words are synonyms. If I say I executed the plan, I mean, I did the stuff on the list.
But in the context of this gap, they're opposites. Activity is the input. You can't deposit activity into a bank account.
Mhm.
Execution is the bridge to the output, the outcome.
That makes sense. The source breaks this down into 3 places where the gap shows up. The first one is exactly what we were just talking about: activity versus outcome.
Right. And there's a simple test for this. Ask any entrepreneur what they did this week. They can list it all. I posted 3 times, went to a networking thing, updated the website.
But the follow-up question is the killer.
It is. What was supposed to happen because you did that?
So if I say, I posted on LinkedIn, that's an activity. What's the outcome? Likes and comments.
Those are borderline. They're vanity metrics. A real outcome is, did a conversation start? Did someone book a call? Did you create actual demand? If all you got was a few thumbs up emojis, that was activity, not an outcome.
This is brutal. It's really holding your feet to the fire. Checking the box is not enough.
It's not. And that leads right into the second place the gap hides, which is my personal favorite because I am so guilty of this one. Motion versus momentum.
Oh, I love this distinction. I feel like motion is my default state. I'm leaving, I'm doing things, it feels like progress.
Motion is so deceptive because it releases dopamine. You cross something off your to-do list, your brain says, good job, productive. But motion is just running in place. Momentum actually changes your position.
Okay, give me a concrete example. Motion versus momentum in a real work week.
All right. Let's say you need a new CRM. Motion is spending 4 hours researching the top 10 CRMs, watching YouTube reviews, asking for recommendations.
I've done that exact thing. It feels very responsible.
It does, but it's just motion. You haven't solved the problem. Momentum is picking one, importing your contacts, and sending the first email blast that gets a reply. In the first case, you're still at the starting line. In the second, your position has actually changed.
So motion is rewriting a sales email 5 times. Momentum is hitting send.
Precisely. The source gives you a test question. What is different in my business because of the work I did? If the honest answer is nothing, you were busy, but you didn't build momentum.
And the third trap. This one catches a lot of creative types. It's visibility versus conversion.
The branding trap. The source says this is where businesses bleed quietly. They focus entirely on being seen. They obsess over the logo, the perfect Instagram grid.
Because that's safe. It's fun. It's way easier to design a pretty graphic than it is to call a lead who might say no to your face.
It is safe. That's the seduction of it. But being seen doesn't pay the bills. The missing piece is the conversion. It's the follow-up. It's having the uncomfortable sales conversations.
So the execution gap really thrives on comfort. Activity is comfortable. Motion is comfortable. Visibility is comfortable.
But outcomes, momentum, and conversion, those are risky. They require you to put something on the line, and that's where the real growth happens. The execution gap is basically a safety blanket we pull over our heads while telling ourselves we're hard at work.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the illness. We know the symptoms. How do we cure it? How do we close this gap?
The source is very clear on this. The solution is not work harder. You do not need more tasks on your to-do list.
Thank goodness. If the answer was wake up at 3 a.m., I was out.
No, it's about shifting your entire mental model. You need what the source calls cause and effect thinking.
All right, break that down.
It's moving from being a task manager to being an owner. Before you do any work, you have to answer 3 pre-work questions.
What are they?
Number 1, why am I doing this? Number 2, what results should it create? And number 3, how will I know if it worked?
How will I know if it worked? That's the kicker, isn't it? Because so often the success metric is just, I did the thing.
Right. If success is, I sent the email, you can't fail. It's a guaranteed win for your ego. But if success is the client booked a meeting, now you have a standard. You have stakes.
And if they don't book,
Then you ask the post-work questions, what actually happened and what needs adjusting next week. This whole process turns your business into a laboratory.
it's like the scientific method. Hypothesis, experiment, analyze the data.
It is exactly that. Business is just a series of experiments. The execution gap opens when we stop treating it like an experiment and start treating it like a chore chart.
Which brings us to the practical tool. The source includes something called the execution gap diagnostic. It's a worksheet, and I want to walk through it. because it seems simple, but also painful.
It's designed to be a little painful. It replaces task tracking with reality checking.
Okay, so let's walk through it. Step one is what you executed, but there's a catch, right? You don't just list everything.
No, you don't list check email. You list only the actions you genuinely believed would materially move the business. The big swings.
Okay, so maybe you list launch the new webinar. Step two is intended outcome.
This is where you have to be honest. What did you expect to happen? Not hope, expect. So I expected 5 signups for my high-ticket program from this webinar.
Then step three, reality check.
Facts only. No feelings, no excuses, just data. I got 0 signups.
This is the hardest part, staring at the gap between what you wanted and what you got.
It is. But that leads to step 4, identify the gap, which is the diagnosis.
Exactly. The sheet gives you options to circle, like insufficient action, weak follow-up, unclear offer, wrong audience, or poor timing.
This is so important. Usually we just say, well, that didn't work. This forces you to be specific. Did it fail because the offer was confusing or because you sent it to the wrong people?
It turns a failure into data, it removes the shame, and replaces it with logic.
And once you have that data, you can do step 5, strategic adjustment. You decide the one thing to change next week.
Not 10 things, just one.
Why only one? It's the scientific method again. Control your variables. If you change 10 things, you'll have no idea what actually worked. Maybe you just decide, my call to action at the end was weak. Next week, I will make it more direct. That's an experiment. That is closing the gap.
It stops you from just repeating the same busy week, or worse, abandoning a good strategy just because you executed it poorly the first time.
Absolutely.
Now, there is a final question on this diagnostic worksheet that is, it's worth the price of admission alone. At the bottom, it asks, if you repeated this week for 90 days, would your business grow?
That is the ultimate litmus test. If you look at your last 5 days and you imagine cloning them for 3 months, and the answer is no, I'd just be tired and in the same place.
Then you're deep in the execution gap.
And something has to change.
Immediately.
It's scary, but it's also kind of liberating. It implies you can stop doing the stuff that isn't working. You can do less and get more. That's the irony. Closing the execution gap usually means doing fewer things, but with so much more intentionality. It's about clarity, not hustle. We are addicted to hustle because it numbs the anxiety of not knowing if we're succeeding.
Clarity beats hustle. I love that. It goes against so much of that grind culture you see online.
It really does. You can hustle your way into burnout, but you can only clarify your way into growth. You cannot outwork a bad strategy.
So for everyone listening, what does this mean for tomorrow morning?
It means looking at your to-do list with a suspicious eye. It means picking one item and asking, what is the specific outcome of this? And if you can't answer that, delete it or change the task until you can.
It's about being ruthless with your own time, not in a productivity hack way, but in a CEO of your own business way.
Yes, stop being the employee who just follows the schedule and start being the owner who demands a return on every hour spent.
I think that's the perfect place to wrap this up. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the things that actually matter.
It's the journey from being busy to being effective. And it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely. So here's our parting thought for you to chew on. Look at your to-do list for tomorrow. Really look at it. How many items are just motion designed to make you feel safe and busy? And how many are actual momentum things that will fundamentally change your position by the end of the day? The ratio might just surprise you.
And if it does, don't panic. Just adjust.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.